Folks, welcome back to the NBC Network, iHealth Radio, the iHealth channel, with your host, Hurricane H. Awesome show today, awesome guest, and we're going to have some fun with the discussion. This is a health channel, this is a health radio, and mental health is big. And one of the topics that I love is usually about empowering, about changing, transformation. And we're going to take you on a journey of mind, body, spirit, enhancement. Really, transformation with my guest. So my guest is Marius Biro, and he literally helps people, entrepreneurs, executives, transform. And he goes to the root cause of our personal world. Really, because a lot of us, we have, emotions, we have our own beliefs, but sometimes we're stuck there. And he's going to help us kind of unstuck, get out of that whole, mix that we have in our brains. So, Marius, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, Hisham.
It's a pleasure, dude.
Good seeing you, my friend.
Well, so we're gonna have some fun today. I can never do justice with a quick intro, but let's do that. Let's get you in front of our audiences and tell the audiences like who you are. What is the work you do? Because you and I, we met a couple of times. We had some fun discussions.
Some good discussions.
We got some deep stuff. We're gonna drive these people nuts today. So, we're gonna go into the matrix. Go ahead.
First of all, thank you for having me. This is yet another manifestation of the fact that I want to help the world. And even the way we met at that event, and the first thing that we had in common was that powerful energy of discussing about, the soul and how the world works and belief systems and religion and faith and all of that and how it impacts the world. So just a couple of words about myself. I've always had a reverse engineering mindset. So from the first stage of my life, for example, I got my first computer, and all the other kids were trying to see what they could play on that computer, like what kind of games or, the utility of it. My first thought was to look inside it and understand how it works. How does this little box project this little image in the other box, and how you connect it with the keyboard and that. So I've always had this reverse engineering mind. And fortunately for me, I was put in the right circumstance as a family and society to connect very deeply with emotions, so to speak. So I kind of took this reverse engineering mindset and started applying it to energy and to mindset and to people. So all of a sudden, the computer became the person. How does this person think like? Why does he think like that? What makes him tick? What makes him happy? What makes him sad? Why? And later in life, I've had to apply these things on myself. So the whole basis of what I do is literally getting from the source of our being, from our soul, to whatever manifests around us. And there is a very specific mechanism, energetical, emotional, spiritual, that I'll try to explain and give value to everybody that's listening to us, so that everybody could stop reacting to the world around them that they create nonetheless themselves, be aware of their creation, and channel all of their energy into creating something that is actually purposeful, not only to survive in this world. So this is what we're gonna discuss about.
Whew. Well, hold on. Let's pause there. Reverse engineering. I love that in terms of the culture, or at least the thought process. But we're reverse engineering humans now.
Yes,
with your work. So we're going deep dive and kind of changing the way the dynamics, literally the narrative of how we are.
Exactly.
And I kind of mentioned the idea of us. We all have beliefs. You mentioned emotions, beliefs, and stuff too. So how does a human function? Really, because everybody has their own core beliefs. They think they know something about themselves. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. We're stuck sometimes in who we are, and sometimes that helps us. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it works against us, right? So how do we kind of really reverse engineer someone? Take them, kind of get in there, switch everything around, and push them back and get them a whole new, what do you call it, like a makeover, I would say? A brain, a soul makeover? What is that?
Makeover, maybe just get to the root, because we're constantly manifesting. Like constantly, every single second, whatever happens around us is 100% power of manifestation. And it's a very interesting question. So the reverse engineering that I apply is we start from the result, because nowadays everybody's struggling with something in their life. It could be the overall pattern and the overall manifestation of life and where they are and whatnot. So we take that. I've managed to observe a pattern that applies to everybody. So that's why I kind of reverse engineer it. So I look and start looking initially at the result that people have in their life, where they are, why, what's their day-by-day emotion, how they live their day-by-day. So just where you are literally. Now, all of that result, going back in the reverse engineer, comes from a behavior, right? So the behavior is, so to speak, that silver lining between the soul and reality, because you have an energy as a soul, right? We're energetic beings. We have our own aura around us. We work through electricity, our nervous system. The brain generates electricity and just goes all over the body. So that's the behavior. And then the behavior comes based on emotion. This is going to be a very interesting topic, the emotion, because it's the main driver of everything that we do. And the secret sauce to all of this is basically the belief system. What you believe to be true about yourself or the world will generate the emotion in order for you to survive / or thrive. That emotion will generate the behavior, and the behavior will give you the result. Now, the thing is, we have to kind of understand somewhat the mechanism or what we're composed out of. So we have this physical part and we have this emotional part. And this emotional part is what we call the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind, and then the physical part is literally the brain, the conscious mind. Now, what we do in terms of mismatching it a little bit is the fact that we use our conscious mind to kind of create reality, which is the opposite. Our conscious mind is literally meant to experience the present moment. Just as you have, let's say, the tongue, which is experiencing taste when you eat food, just like you have your ears, which is experiencing sounds when there's something happening around you, your eyes, right, your skin, everything is meant to be experienced at the present moment. But the problem is we use our mind, our conscious mind, to kind of either be in the future, so in a creative state, or dwell in the past. And this is where you have either anxiety, because you cannot control the future no matter what, or we dwell in the past. And that's why you usually have depression, because you kind of stay stuck in that event that happened to you, trying to anticipate another event so that you're kind of ready for it. So in simple words, the reverse engineering is like this. We understand our biology and energy, and then we apply it with the structure that I told you to see how we can change that belief system that has a negative emotion, negative behavior, and negative result to kind of automatically change it, because everything is automatic, right? So if you have a negative belief, the result will, through this mechanism, be negative. So we change the belief system so that it's positive, and then again, it goes to positive emotion, positive behavior, and positive result. And all of it, in at least in 95 proportion, is automatic. This is the secret.
Well, so hold on. So there's a lot of stuff you said there. we got to break this down. First of all, I mean, you talked about us being beings of energy. There's the part that is the soul. Talk about the subconscious versus the conscious, right?
Yes.
And well, 90% of it is really happening in the back room. I mean, there's
Exactly.
something going on in there. So it's operating behind, on cruise control, and you kind of like manifest a little bit of that, right? But so here's the thing. I mean, people are stuck with their beliefs because that's what they've been taught. I mean, we're raised in families, we're raised in cultures, environments. So whatever that is, socioeconomics, those determine sometimes, or at least that's what we think.
Yes,
Because a lot of people
they actually do.
Yeah.
Actually
Well,
do.
people say that, I'm stuck because this is, I can't get out of here. I mean, we hear this a lot in the U.S., for example. We have this, people that they have. I grew up in a poor family, for example, or maybe in the housing project, right? So maybe it's difficult for me to make it into the real world. Is that even true, or is that just a concept that is constructed in your mind?
The thing, it's true to a certain degree. So both of them are true as long as you believe they're true. And
So we have to change that belief.
we have to change the
Okay.
belief. So see, for example, let's say you grow up in the projects where you start off a little bit more disadvantaged than some other people on this planet. That is 100% factual. So the thing is, from 0 to 7 years, everything that happens to us, we take it exactly as it is. We don't have the logical capacity, the mental capacity to actually understand what it is. And then in this area, if it also happens to integrate the belief system that I am stuck, even though you're not stuck, if you believe it to be true, belief creates emotion, emotion creates behavior, and behavior creates outcome. So
Biro.
exactly, Biro. So whatever you believe to be true, including the fact that you're stuck, you will manifest that. So that's one part of it. But at the same time, every belief system is changeable, right? Because when you're 0 to 7 years, mostly, and then 7 to 14, it kind of closes off. You're in a theta state. just like in a hypnotic state or meditative state or in a trance state. Everything that happens to you, just take it as it is. But that's the beauty of it. You can change it when you're an adult, let's say 14 plus, but with the logical mind that, is meant to help us survive. So we know, for example, that we have been, we grow up in an environment which is not necessarily for us in terms of mental thoughts and belief systems. Then we grow up seeing what we want as a belief system. So we use the conscious mind to infiltrate the subconscious mind and change the belief that we are stuck, change the belief that we are disadvantaged, change the belief that we have grown up in a disadvantaged scenario. Because the thing is, from a soul perspective, everything, literally everything that happens to us is meant to show us that that is the area we have to evolve in. This is probably the first step into evolving or getting unstuck. Because you could look at a hurdle and say, oh my God, I'm so unlucky. And this is what happened to me. And I'm unlucky because I grew up here. And I'm unlucky because I'm stuck. And nothing, works for me. And this is what's happening. And it's all against me. So this is what's going to get you stuck. But the reality of it is, the fact that you encounter negative scenarios is only your soul's way, your soul's mirror of showing you, hey, this is where you are. This is what you need to learn in order for you to become more powerful. Because in order for you to be brave or have the emotion of courage, where do you have to be?
In the subconscious?
In a physical state.
Oh, in a physical state. I don't know. I mean, in the present. I mean,
in a dangerous present. You cannot be courageous. You cannot have courage in this podcast, for example. There's no danger around here, right? So
I don't know. I'm just kidding. No,
I feel safe. I feel safe as well. So, but the thing is, you will only learn courage if you're put in a scenario or in a circumstance in your life that requires it, in danger, for example. So if you lack courage, your soul will put you in that environment so that you learn how to become courageous and how to overcome that circumstance. And it goes for each and every emotion that we live. If you want to learn love, for example, you'll be choosing and be born in a family that might not show you love. Maybe it's going to show you abandonment. So the whole purpose of all of these is to show you, hey, this is what I'm lacking inside. For example, abundance, for example, love or courage. And then you'll manifest circumstances that will show you that you lack that in order for you to build it.
Well, so Marius, so I hear you, and there's a lot of stuff there. I mean, it's a very deep stuff we're talking about here. But for the average person, I mean, you talked about early age, you get your environment, whatever that is. And by the way, I want to clarify something. The example I gave is just a generic example, because it doesn't matter. Some people, immigrate from one country to the other because for better opportunities. That doesn't mean that they had no opportunities. That just means maybe they're looking for something different.
Exactly.
It could be culture. It could be just a way of, I guess, rebelling, against your family. It could be just a dream come true. Like in my case, for example, my dream was to work at Disney, and that was the thing. So I was a kid. Disney is my place, and I did actually go there and manifested that, right? But so it's those things, right? But some people, and by the way, there's something that you said. You can change that as you're 14 and up, and the others. But again, isn't that true that our globe, like the actual brain is not really functional, or at least fully formed until like 25? Is that because in the mental world, I mean, or psychiatry, that's kind of, they say, the front lobe is not fully evolved until that point. So that's why we make that's why we make a lot of dumb mistakes, when we're younger, right? Because we just don't know better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have this debate all the time with my kids, what I see and what they see is completely different. And I mean, obviously, I've been around the block a long time. I mean, longer than them, but they don't get that. Like, I can see things that they may not see just because by experience I've been exposed to a lot of things.
Exactly.
But even that, it's really our duty as individuals to kind of seek that. The problem is, I don't think, in average, we are seeking any of that. We're comfortable, and I think that's what it is. I think the problem that a lot of people, and we talk about success, we talk about getting better, getting financial, whatever, bliss, whatever. But what are we doing about it? Are we taking the necessary steps? You're right. I mean, everything is conditioned to how you behave and how you kind of put it together. You talked about the soul. Now, it's funny. The Greeks? They used to, I think, in the mythology, they kind of refer to it as the ghost in the machine. This is the avatar. Now we can go to the Matrix. Because we do believe, and you and I, we had this discussion about the Matrix and the simulation. This world is just nothing more than such. I mean, regardless of religious beliefs and stuff, we can get deep into that. we are a form of energy. In the quantum realm, we are all kind of the same. I mean, we're nothing different from a star when it comes to
Exactly.
the quarks and the energies that are being produced. I mean, we're just stardust, as some people would say. And maybe Neil can say that. But the idea is we need to get people to get off their comfort zone, because I think that's where the problem is. Most of us are like, I can't, or we have this. Maybe we've heard that story before. Oh, like, well, dude, I had this being told to me many times back in the days, and many times, oh, you think you're gonna do this? What makes you special?
Yeah.
You think this is gonna happen? No, it's not gonna work. Most people will tell you no by default.
Yes.
You tell them any story, like right now, like watching now. You tell them like, hey, we're gonna be billionaires. Oh, no, it's not gonna happen.
Because it's not congruent with their belief system. So there's so many points, very interesting points that you touched earlier. And let me start with the one that resonated with me most in terms of how it works as a mechanism. So see, you said that we have limitation, or we believe we're not possible, or some people are stuck. The thing is, there's no such thing as procrastination, for example. And there's no such thing as laziness. All of these things are just protection mechanisms from what we could live if we fail. And it all comes down to the same structure that I told you about. So we live from 0 to 7 years, and we kind of learn these belief systems, right? It could be a range of belief systems that generate a very large range of emotions. Now, this will manifest in our life based on our social economic position, right? You had people that come from different countries to some other countries to, I don't know, maybe find a better life, or maybe because they didn't resonated with their original country. The thing is that every single decision that you take based on this emotional mechanism. It just manifests differently for some people or other. Right? So for example, that's why I'm telling so many people, do not ever seek advice for somebody that does not have what you actually want. And the reason for that is because as long as you're not connected to your inner self and you're not detached in general as a person, you will always give advices based on your own potential possibility and your own filter. That's why so many people, when you say, hey, I'm going to become a billionaire, for them, they're in their mind and their belief system, they're so stuck, right? There's such a limited possibility that they think this is actually the world around them. And when they do see a billionaire, that's only, again, the manifestation of the soul showing that, hey, you see a billionaire, instead of being inspired and learning something from it, you kind of go against it because you cannot achieve it. So it's just a manifestation of their incapacity.
Well, so Marius, but that's the thing. I think everyone is capable to achieve anything that they want. I think this is a belief I've always had personally, is that no matter what I put my mind in, if I want it bad, I'll do it. I mean, this radio, this network that I created 7 years ago was just an idea, and it was a challenge. Someone challenged me, and they said, oh, you can't be on the radio. Literally, they told me. I mean, I've been on TV when I was a kid, even in movies, but the problem is someone did not see that I was able to do it because they just doubted the ability. And for me, I was like, well, not only I want to make a difference and I believe in that there's a need, but I want to prove this person wrong. And so it was just a challenge, and I took it upon me and I made it happen. But it's regardless of that, right? I mean, forget the billionaire example. I mean, that may be an extreme one. But even like, some people want to start something small, a small business, going to school, getting the next degree, I don't know, marriage, all kind of stuff, doing a podcast. I mean, I've helped a lot of people get into this world because sometimes they don't know where to start. I mean, yes, there's a lot of resources, but it's just that first step. And by the way, everything else starts with a small step, right? Is. I mean, so for those people that believe that we actually went to the moon, we could talk about that. If you don't, that's a different story. We could have a different show about that. But the fact is, I lived in Orlando. I know, I have a place by Cape Canaveral, so I know exactly when the shuttle goes up. I've seen actually, liftoffs. But the fact is, whether they go to the moon, they just go do a quick tour around the planet, I don't know. But the fact is, even just sending them out there, right? It takes a lot of work, a huge team. I mean, the work that it takes, but it takes the belief.
It starts with that.
It's the belief. Like, you have to change the way we think. I mean, we have to change that. There's can't do and can do,
and it's all based on the belief, just like you said. If you believe you can do it, it all comes down again to the belief system. You'll have a positive emotion about it. Let's say confidence and energy and feeling positive about it. And this confidence will generate a behavior. So if you truly believe you can create a podcast, if you think you're capable of it, if that's your belief that you're capable, first of all, because the thing is, I'm always going to go back to the structure. It's all about the belief. You believe you're capable. You can apply that to every aspect and area of your life. It could be starting a podcast. It could be following your passion. It could be building something. It could be ideas that you just put in real life. If you don't believe you're capable, then you will not do it even if you are capable. So it all comes down to the same system. And in that system, you could basically put up to 15,000 emotions. This is, scientifically speaking, we have a range of about 12 to 15,000 emotions, but they all go in the exact same frame. Just imagine that, let's say your mind, your overall mental energetical structure is like literally a building. And then you have, I don't know, let's say 10,000 apartments. And in those apartments, you have people coming in and out, tenants, people that rent or buy that property for a certain amount of time. And that's basically the emotions that you put in the building. The building stays the same. If there's literally no exit from the hallway or from your apartment, you'll never get out of it. You're stuck because you believe there is no door. But if you believe there's a door and there's an elevator and then you have a contractor outside waiting for you, to build another part of the building and so on and so forth, you'll do it. So it all comes down to the belief. If you believe you're capable, no matter what kind of thing you put inside there, just like you said, step by step, with a positive emotion generated by the belief system, you will be able to achieve it.
Well, so thank you for that. I mean, I think that's a big advice for our audiences. But here's the thing, like, again, going back to the idea that you're constantly influenced, at all, in all levels, right?
Yes.
And the influence could be like, we hear some positive, we hear some negative. Usually we tend to go more than negative than positive. I don't know how and why, but it's almost a fact. And
Yes.
the problem is, like, if someone is being bombarded with the idea like, well, you can't do it, or it's too hard. It's that, because it's almost like we're a dish, right? We absorb in whatever the information is. And so that's kind of like, you get that wrong frequency and you're stuck in that frequency. You just got to move yourself away from that frequency into a better one. But that transition is the hard part. I think that's where you come in,
Yeah.
as someone, a specialist who helps people heal
Exactly.
from this problem.
This is actually quite interesting because, see, even the fact that you are stuck, for example, in an environment that is bombarding you with negative information or a negative outcome, it's still just a mirror. It's literally still just a mirror. So if you feel stuck, right, like I was saying in terms of manifestation, if you have this energy, if you have this vibration inside you, and anything that you have inside of your subconscious mind, in your soul, so to speak, in your energetical being, you'll have the reality, the matrix, so to speak, is literally only a mirror. So the key to getting unstuck is to asking yourself, this is the first step without judgment. Where am I right now as an environment? What am I manifesting around me? And literally sit yourself down in one evening, allow yourself to feel the emotions, because you could never ever change whatever you don't acknowledge it's yours, right? Because you could feel afraid, but if you're kind of pushing it down and not acknowledging that you're there, you won't be able to change it. You're going to try to suppress it or cover it up with something else, and you'll never be able to change it. Sit down one night and just literally write everything that is happening around you. How is your relationship with family? What kind of emotions does your interaction with family, with friends, with work, with the world? How do people, for example, cut you in traffic, cut in your lane? How does that make you feel? Because
Angry? I'm just kidding.
the thing is, most of us do become angry. And the reason for that is still based on the belief system, because you could have somebody come inside you and think, hey, maybe he was avoiding an accident, or his wife is, I don't know, giving birth, or you could just understand the positive and, just see it as it is and make room for somebody that might be in need. Or because you might have some lack of respect and self-worth, growing up in that environment that is meant to teach you respect and self-love, you're going to say, why did he do that? He did that because he thinks he could do that to me. Like he could never treat me like that. So if you just do a self-reflection of what happens around you and how that makes you feel, your first step out of the door to change. Then the third step, the third thing is to ask the question, what does this have to teach me in terms of why I manifested it? So somebody cut me in front of my lane, and I become angry. The reason is, or the thing is, you have to acknowledge what happened. You have to acknowledge your emotions. So I'm angry, and now it's, why am I angry? What causes anger for somebody disrespecting me, for example? Or why am I angry? Is it disrespect? Is it the fact that I feel that what their time is better than mine, more valuable than mine? Okay, what does this basically prove to myself? That I'm not valuable? That's why they did it? So as long as you kind of do these steps, you'll be in the mentality of learning something from your environment and becoming better and getting out of the victim mentality. Because as long as you're going to be in the victim mentality, it's always going to be a loop. This happened to me. Oh my God, it's negative. Why does this happen to me? And then it just goes again and again and again until you finally understand that it's just a mirror. So you have, let's say, a belief that you're not worthy. Maybe it happened in childhood, at school, family, friends, whatever that is. And you'll manifest that in your life until you finally are ready to say, hey, I'm actually worthy. And when you start believing that, guess what's going to happen? The circle changes around. All of a sudden, you manifest people, scenarios. All of a sudden, nobody's going to come in your lane. They're going to give you their lane or say, hey, you're going to signal and you could easily go. They're going to give you the priority.
But now someone can say that's a lot of work. I mean, you have to really know what's wrong and kind of face the music in a way and be able to to just face it head on, because I think that's the problem. We're so stuck in who we are as a person.
Yes.
And so we're just there. We need to get people to move from that status to the status where we're always questioning things and maybe discovering ourselves. And I think that's where the challenge is. I think for audiences watching and listening right now,
Yes.
the concept is, you have to ask the question, who am I? What am I doing? Why things are not working out? If you start asking the questions, I think the whys, you start finally getting all those bulbs going up and you're like, okay, maybe this is, I think the problem, some people may not have those discussions with themselves. And I think the more we start having some discussions, as to like the whys and, how things are not, why am I not, showing any results?
Yes.
Why am I I'm stuck? I mean, we see this in the gym. Like you can go to the gym all you want and you're not seeing results. Like what's going on? You can be, at work and stuck in a particular job and you're not seeing any advancement because, and so those are questions like why someone is present. I mean, I'm not to brag or anything. I mean, I started at a job a long time ago and there were like 10 of us as reps in this clinic. And I was the last guy that came in a couple of months, or maybe less than a year, I was their supervisor. Okay. And it's just the concept, like I didn't care about, whether they were there or not. I cared about like, what am I going to do to make it happen and move on? And that's the difference.
Perfect example.
But again, I chose that, someone may not be aware that they can choose.
Exactly.
But that's the problem.
Unfortunately, because 100% of our beliefs and 100% of all of these emotions are in the subconscious/unconscious. We are unconscious about them. So the first, or maybe some of the first steps that you can do is literally understand that as long as you have a result in your life, like you said, you're stuck, there has to be a reason for that. Because nothing that manifested in your life has no reason. Things don't just pop up. You're thirsty, you drink water, you're not thirsty because you drank the water. So if you're in a certain position...
Cause and effect.
Exactly. It's 100% cause and effect. Of course, the cause is the subconscious belief system that generates, like I said, emotion, behavior, result. And that's why we reverse engineer. So first and most important is acknowledge there's something happening to you. All right, whatever that is. You're stuck. Okay, there has to be something that I'm doing that proves that got me to this result, that I'm stuck. So just like you said, facing the music is the first thing. Because otherwise, see, we have bad things happening to us whilst we are children. And then we kind of develop this survival mechanism. Like I said, procrastination. And I'll give you an example on this because a lot of people are battling with this. Either they think, or people look at them and say, hey, you're super lazy. You're not doing anything. Or why do you procrastinate? Or you're always laying around and stuff like that. Again, that is not the truth at all. This procrastination might be, for example, a survival mechanism in what way? You grow up with parents that are extremely critical, right? They criticize you all the time. No matter what you do, it's not good enough, right? And then after they shout at you and say you're not good for anything, they kind of a little bit abandon you. So they kind of ignore you because you made them angry. And all of a sudden, just you making a small mistake becomes the belief system that I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of love from, of all people, the people that actually help us survive, because we're hardwired to believe that parents equal survival, right? And this is the belief system that you are being given, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And then you from this belief system, you have the generated emotion that maybe you are abandonable, you're not good enough, and that's because you always make mistakes. So you suffer, right? And then these emotions create the behavior of procrastination. Why? Because if there's nothing that you're doing wrong, there's no offsetting of making a mistake that would lead you to being punished and abandoned. So you kind of self-close the circle by not taking the risk. And it all goes down to the idea that if I make a mistake, I'll be abandoned, I'm not good enough, I'm not loved by society right now because I'm an adult, and in childhood, I'm not loved by the parents, which is survivability. So it all goes down to, okay, I'm not going to survive.
So we refer to that usually as comfort zone, but it sounds more like safety zone.
It is a safety zone. It's a survival zone because it's less hurtful to be criticized that you're just lazy than to feel the same almost death feeling of being abandoned. So it's just easier. The pain, so to speak, of the comfort zone / safety zone of procrastination, of laziness, is smaller than the pain of making a mistake and being severely punished by it and abandoned by it, and just remembering how it felt as a child. Because we have to take in consideration that children, and we as children, we feel emotions probably 100 times more powerful, the raw actual emotion, compared to an adult. Because as an adult, 14 years and starting from that, we become more and more logical. So for example, if our parents are fighting in front of us at 3 years old, we're going to feel so much more tension and negativity and conflict than if they do when we're 25 years old. Because when you're exactly, you're like the same reason. Let's say, mom dad fight because dad didn't put up the toilet seat when you're 3 years old. Just say it's usually a
very
big
common.
debate.
Yeah,
it's very common, big debate. You as a child, you see the conflict and you literally feel like a war zone because the representation of love and safety, which are your parents, are in a very powerful conflict. So you don't have the capacity of saying, hey, they're just adults, and you're laughing about it, like, hey dad, just joining in, kind of poking the bear a little bit. You're not gonna be like, hey dad, you didn't put up the toilet seat, now mom's angry. You're gonna look at it as literally the war zone of your life and feel like it. So that's the comparison. Now, the other part is when you're 25, you'll take it as that because you have the capacity to understand. It's just a mere conflict and you won't take it at heart. But when you're a child, what you will learn is basically that love means conflict. And you will create that belief system in your mind because, the representation of love and safetyness is having a conflict. So 25 years later, when you have a relationship and your boyfriend / girlfriend is literally loving you and there's no conflict, that's when you're going to start feeling panicked. Why? Because in your subconscious mind...
Why is it all working well?
Yes, in your subconscious mind, she doesn't love you if there's no conflict. So you'll start subconsciously fighting for something. You'll be the mom. Yes, you'll be the mom that starts to pick on the smallest thing because otherwise you don't feel loved.
Because you're not relating to it.
So see, this is probably a very good example of how we take decisions and interact with people and how we interact with the world and why we have results. Because this adult that will find subconsciously conflicts in order to feel loved will generate exactly the opposite conflict, and they're going to be alone probably most of their lives because nobody will stand for, I'm good, we're loving each other, and every time that's good, you kind of find a conflict all the time when we get in an argument. So in order to perpetuate that, like I was saying, that whole circle again, the fighting itself, which is meant to make you feel loved, will perpetuate the idea that love means fighting. So unless you change the belief system that love means fighting, you'll end up fighting for love. Love goes away. You find another love, and you're in a circle. Yeah. But when you change that, you'll do subconsciously and automatically the same things, but you will enjoy the love. When everything's good, if you change the belief system in a theta state, then all of a sudden when it's good, that's when you find the peace.
So we literally have to do a subconscious cleanse.
Exactly.
Amazing. Well, so people refer to like mindset, right? We talk about mindset all the time. A lot of stuff I'm hearing right now, we sometimes refer to it like, if you change your mindset, you can actually change your behavior.
Yes.
Is that what it is, or is it deeper than just, because mindset maybe is just an attribute to the actual.
No, you could call it a mindset. You could call it a mindset.
So it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's call it mindset / subconscious belief, right? Because it's very similar in terms of structure and how it works. That generates emotion, that generates behavior, and generates results. Now, this is a small thing that I want everybody to take in consideration. Most of us, and we tried for all of our lives, we try to change the last two. It's either the result or maybe a little bit the behavior. That's why you have New Year, New Me for about the first 2 weeks of the year.
And stop going to the gym.
Exactly. Because let's say, for example, and I'll give you some very deep research that has been done. And I've seen research, for example, anthropologists went to a rehabilitation center, right? Or not rehabilitation, obesity center. How do you call that? Like addiction centers, something like that.
Different names, yeah. Like a rehab?
Rehab, all right,
yeah.
rehab. But it was for obesity, right?
Weight management, weight loss, whatever.
Weight loss management facility, right?
Yeah.
So the anthropologists try to see like what's the correlation? Why do people get to the extent where they have 400 pounds, 500 pounds, 600 pounds? Like what does it take to get there? And he was finding basically no common denominator. Then he spoke with his psychologist friend, and he said, add the question, have you been abused in childhood? All of a sudden, probably 80% plus, 87% of all of the people that took the surveys.
Or bullied.
Bullied, sexually abused, physically abused, emotionally abused. So all of a sudden, you had like 80, 90% of people having this common denominator. So in their subconscious mind, how did that look like? They saw that if you are not attractive as a person, for example, then people leave you alone. They don't sexually abuse you anymore if you're not attractive. They don't look at you because there's no challenge into bullying you, right? So the belief system is, if I'm ugly, if I'm overweight, if I'm not attractive, I will be safe. Belief system creates emotion, behavior, right? So safety, belief system, I'm ugly, I'm safe.
So it's a defense mechanism right there.
Exactly. And that's why so many people go back to rehab. Like you have, even when it comes to prison, when it comes to drug abuse, when it comes to all sorts of addictions, you have a relapse. Like what, 60, 70%, 80%? Because we go to rehab centers, we go to prison, we go to whatever that is, and we try to change either the result itself or the behavior, but not the reason of why we have that. And even for prisons, for example, 90% of prisoners have been literally abused in some very scary ways. And they saw as a child that the only power that they have or that the world has is when they are super aggressive. So in order to protect themselves, they will be aggressive or they will be dominant or they will try to kind of impose themselves in some kind of way to the world, which is a fairly dangerous world. So even this comes back to the same mechanism. That's why I said, if you kind of understand why you behave how you behave, what's the true belief system behind it, you will be able to change the world, literally, like in a very literal way. You will be able to help prisoners not be violent. You will be able to help addicts get rid of drugs and alcohol, because all of those, everything that has to do, for example, with addiction is literally just a self-soothing mechanism. That's what
it's also a dopamine hit for them. I mean,
that's why it's self-soothing, because inside their world, their mindset, inside their subconscious, the world is so dangerous that only by physically suppressing the part of the brain which is the logical one, right, where all of a sudden the world is not dangerous, you have that small relief. So this is all that is. If people find their core belief that creates suffering, they will only need to get rid of that, and automatically the addiction disappears because there's no need for that dopamine hit. And I have so many people that I work with that quit smoking or alcohol or drugs just because they were doing it to kind of relieve some internal pressure that they had in terms of negative belief systems and emotions.
Well, so Marius, but here's the challenge, right? A lot of people are afraid to even open that kind of worms because they either don't want to know that they can be different, or maybe they don't think that they're gonna like what they're gonna see, like they're new themselves. I mean, because that's the other thing, because you're gonna be a whole different person. Yeah. Maybe that's not what you're kind of looking forward to, right?
Yes.
And the other part is maybe they just are timid to share their personal life, because a lot of people, for example, will not search and risk going to a psychiatrist or a therapist or a holistic healer such as yourself, because they just don't want to be like vulnerable and
They are
expose
vulnerable.
themselves.
That's exactly
You know,
what it
because
is.
once if I'm telling you my story, you'd be like, you know, I have to be comfortable to do that. Most of us are kind of like, you know, in a cage here. Like
Yes.
this is the facade. We show a different face. Listen, even me. I mean, you know, I have my own dark sides. Right? You know, it's like I always say, I have two personalities. I mean, there's my kids even sense like we like this person, and when there's the other. Like
Yes.
I'm a bipolar case. You know, I have two personalities, and they pop up sometimes, right? I mean, recently I was at a beach, and I was sitting with the kids, and this guy sent, you know, they threw a ball at us, and you know, I said, okay, next time I'll give it to the Cubs. He was reactive. I got reactive too. And what he didn't know is that when I was a kid, we were at the same spot with my parents, and someone hit my mom, you know, real
So it
hard.
triggered
So for
something.
me, that was automatic reaction.
triggered,
Now
yeah.
he would not understand that, and you know, it took me almost a half hour to realize that that was what happened.
But that's amazing.
But actually, I mean, I stood up. He was like threatening. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna just back off. Now I can get angry easily, you know, but
Yeah.
I mean, I've been disciplined enough to control a little bit myself. You know, I'm not gonna get into a fight. I mean, that's dangerous. If I get into that world, I mean, that's a whole world of mine, and I can handle that. But I'd rather do it by the book and stuff like that. But someone like that, if it's talking about anger on the road, that's the thing. Like, you know, you have to find excuses for other people, but sometimes, you know, there's triggers that are like,
100%.
wait, this thing, I mean, literally, it's 40 plus years old in my mind.
It,
And
will-
it
and
was,
it will be for the rest of your life as long as you don't address it.
but that's the thing. It happened. I mean, I didn't, and by the way, I was kind of anticipating that, to talk about manifestation. Literally, I saw them getting closer and closer, and I'm like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And just when I closed my eyes, it
It
happened.
happened.
And I'm like, shit.
So that's exactly the perfect example that I was that we could use for what I was saying as a mirror. Like if you have this triggering thing that people come to your private personal space, right? For example, it happened with your mother, and you have an association of being dangerous or being whatever it is. You have your own personal association of what that event created as a belief system. You look at the emotion, you look at the so you had the belief system. You had the emotion, like maybe security, maybe triggering, maybe this. And then you manifested it. You saw it happening before it happened.
Oh, it was visual, man. It's not even funny. Like my kids can't even notice that.
Yeah.
Like what happened? And like it happened.
And you know why they didn't notice it? Because they didn't have the experience and don't have any kind of relationship to an event like this.
No, but they knew me. They knew like what kind of reaction I would do. Now again, my reaction was simple. I just grabbed said, okay, if this happens, I'm gonna take it to the cops. I mean, I try to do it by the guy triggered me because he said, oh, it's the first time it happened. By the way, from this show, if he does watch this show, I'm gonna tell him, thank you for bringing that memory back and getting me to actually realize what I was, and you solved my problem.
So
now I can
just
face
like,
it.
Just like I was saying, literally every single thing that is happening to us. So this is perfect. I love speaking to you
listen,
because
I mean-
everything is like intertwining. So you had this mirror, and remember what I said at the beginning. If you're gonna ask yourself, what is it that I need to learn from this experience that otherwise I wouldn't have learned? That's exactly what happened. So you had an event that brought back something that you lived, and you learned something from it. Like, hey, I need to detach. Hey, I need to be more calm. Hey, I need to be more responsible and not react because this could be dangerous. And on the other side is also like maybe the emotion of how do you call it? A little bit of tightness around, safety. Maybe you felt that the family's not safe. Maybe you felt that the children might be hit just like your
Yeah,
mom.
exactly. That's
right?
what it was.
So as long as you will not feel safe, for example, you will manifest that. The mirror will show you scenarios where you're safe. It's not going to kill you, so to speak, unless you have the belief system that the world is going to kill you, which is very because even in this scenario, how many people went to such a close near-death experience? Like it's crazy. You see like people driving.
Oh, I've seen that stuff real life. I mean,
So that is just a manifestation of the world is dangerous, but not going to kill me. I'm going to survive no matter what. And then you have people that just walk on the street and all of a sudden, I don't know, just randomly a flower pot lands in their head and die.
well, it is amazing. And by the way, like to be honest with you, this experience. See, here's something I want to just share here because it's important, and this is something that's why I do this work is to kind of enlighten people about some things. And through my own experiences, sometimes it works. So for example, that guy would not realize something. I just lost my mom. So in my mind, that's a very triggering, point.
It is, yeah.
Now he's not going to know that, and that's the thing. We don't know what other people like. You talk about that guy, the road rage, right? We don't know what people are going through. Maybe to your points, is delivering a baby, somebody's in emergency. We all kind of react first, if we take one split second to take back, and sometimes it's hard. That's the hard part because, like my gut feeling was like to stand up and talk, but then it was a normal talk. Then the guy pushes, and then now I'm going to the next level. Now, I do not want to go to the next level, especially, this is a new country for me, and I need to know the rules. So actually, I did go to the station and kind of spoke to someone to just understand, what I have to do in the event it happens again. So I kind of learned, but it was actually cool. The guy actually was I guess a cop, and he helped me get rid of it. In about 20 minutes, I was cool because we were like talking and he's like, got it out of the system. But I sat down with myself. And that's the other thing. So I think we all have reactions, but do we reflect on them?
That's the key.
So I took the time. I mean, actually, the whole night was a little crazy for me because this thing was playing and playing and playing, and I'm trying to reset myself. Like, no, I got to stop this. This is not me. I can't be those two. I have to find a better way to behave this way. And it was not a good thing. But that trigger was a huge thing for me.
As long as you look at it as a lesson.
It was a lesson. I mean, and frankly, that lesson is powerful because it taught me now I need to know how to behave if something like that happens going forward. I can't let, something like that trigger me just because. Now, again, it's not a secret. I've said this many times. When I was a kid, I was tiny and people bullied me. So I hate bullies. I mean,
it's triggering.
So I don't hate people, but I hate behavior.
Yeah.
And so bullies to me, I train all my life because of that. To always be able to stand, for the weak, or if I have to stand for someone who is literally just not good, I will take action on it. Now, countries are different, rules are different. In the States, I can do a little bit more about it than I can
here
do
it's a little bit more strict. I know about that. No violence.
No violence. But someone like that, I mean, first of all, no violence, but the guy created the environment for it because he shouldn't have been there in the first place. So yes, it may be a debate, but that's kind of like how...
If you're going to look from at this perspective, completely about learning itself is... See, because the thing is, the opposite of learning is to try to find and motivate the exterior. So, somebody that doesn't want to learn from this aspect will say, yeah, but he did it. He was playing around it.
But it was my fault. I had
to... And the thing is, it's not about fault. I'll be honest. It's not about whose fault it is and all of that. It's about if we're going to try to kind of motivate our behavior because something happened outside, we'll always stay in the loop. Because the reality is what happened outside started from the inside. So again, if you have this territoriality kind of emotion and behavior, you will again manifest people that will test that. You know what I'm saying? So it started with you. If you, for example, but in a positive way, again, we're here to learn. If you understand that everything you manifest comes from the inside to teach you something, you will never, ever in your life can say that, he did that and that's why, and I got triggered and so on and so forth.
But Marius, I agree with you. So this was the debate going on with me. I was questioning what happened?
Exactly.
And so in a way I'm thinking technically, I mean, so I have this rule about removing yourself from the equation, right?
Yeah.
What happens if there's variables and the constants, right?
Exactly.
So the problem is I put myself in a situation. I should have been in a place where there's nobody playing, such a thing. So I kind of exposed myself to it. So I turned it onto my view as maybe if I shouldn't be there, I shouldn't have been there in the first place, and then this wouldn't have happened, right? I should have been doing something else. But now I can't say I should have, could have, because it already happened. So it was kind of almost a very, debateful day for me. In my mind, there was two people working.
let me give you for the viewers as well.
This is for the viewers, really.
Yes,
so, yeah.
to look and how to look at this. So the thing is, you could do things to run away from problems, or you could do things to create solutions, right? Based on the belief system. So for example, if you are going with the family on the beach, and you have this belief system that you have to kind of protect your territory, your mindset is already looking for an unsafe territory, because you're like, hey, I'm triggered by it, or I don't like it. So the first thing you're looking for is some place that will not trigger you. That you're kind of, by taking this action, you're running away from the confrontation. You're running away from what a situation like this might trigger in you. The positive way of looking at it is, I'll go wherever it is because I know I'm safe no matter what. And even just the thought about that, inherently, instinctively, subconsciously, you will analyze the whole beach without even thinking. It's so instant, it's so fast that you will see the perfect safe environment, even if all the other ones are unsafe. But if you see, it's like trying to become rich because you're afraid of being poor.
I love that.
You get the difference? You can either become rich because this is a manifestation of your security and abundance and the fact that you're in a creation state and you're creative and you're just self-confident and all of that. Or you could be so scared about the world and how dangerous it is if you don't have money or anything like that, and just go against the tide and, just step on bodies and do whatever you think and lose sleep and lose health in order to achieve what you think might be safe. But the thing is, that's why so many rich people end up, unfortunately, either maybe with suicide or maybe with a bigger depression. They go to drugs, and all of a sudden drugs are not enough. So they go to drugs and alcohol, and all of a sudden it's not enough. So the drugs, alcohol, prostitutes, and it's not enough. And at the end, because the more you try to fill up that black hole inside you, the more you literally just confirm that the black hole is there. And because you're putting from the outside in the black hole, what happens with the black hole? It becomes bigger.
So you get deeper and deeper.
Exactly, because a black hole, you can never just fill it up.
Just like a real black hole.
So this is something for the viewers as well as another step. It's look at why. What is the reasoning behind your decisions? Are you doing things because you're afraid of not doing them, or are you doing them because you're passionate about that? Because it feels good, it feels safe. And that's a good, the answer is, I'm kind of running away from something, then you start the process. What is the result? What is the behavior that led to this? What is the emotion that I'm feeling? So is it fear? The reason why I'm just working so much to become rich? Okay, so why am I afraid of? Is the belief system that maybe the world is dangerous. So is the world actually dangerous? Like, can I just be killed on the street just like that? No.
Well, so Marius, thank you for that. And it's interesting because there's two things. One, you're right. I mean, if you look at the bad stuff, you're only going to see bad stuff. It's no matter how you do it. And by the way, the part that annoyed me that day the most is that I know me better than that. Like, I know that's not my reaction normally. I have no idea that was already still there. So that trigger was like something I completely, did not even think about until it happened.
Yeah, because it's in the subconscious.
It was way deep. I mean, and I didn't even think about it until I started thinking like, why did I do this? Then the image came back to me, like literally when I was a kid. Beautiful. I remember that ball coming straight to my mom, hit her, and she was crying, and that was like just the image I had in my mind. So my reaction was like just automatic trigger.
Prepare for the same emotion, basically.
Exactly. And so
and just imagine that literally every single emotion that you live, every single decision
somewhere in there
is based on this example. There's something that happened to us in our childhood that created the belief system. And based on that, because again, we're 92, 95, 97%, you have different sources saying different levels, but above 92% of everything that you live, everything that you feel, all of your decisions, all of your actions, everything that happens, the way you interact with things that happen to you in real life are in your subconscious mind. And the thing is, they're so automatic. Your conscious mind has no physical capability of processing the whole thought. And that's the whole reason of this subconscious conscious way. Imagine 100,000 years ago, every time you met a tiger, it's like you relearned the whole process again. You would, there would be no survivability. So the whole thing about this subconscious thing is to survive. So just like you had your moment with your late mom, with the beach, you got in your subconscious that there's danger and you have to protect. And when you already anticipated before it happened in the last episode, and you were ready to survive, basically. So it's all a survival mechanism, but it was literally meant for when it happened as a child. That's the thing. And because it's in the subconscious.
Because I couldn't do anything about it when I was a kid.
Exactly. But it will stay throughout your whole life if you don't address it. And because the second part of my work is also on the physical, on the body part, on the, so to speak, like the car.
Well, let's talk about that because we're coming to the end of the show. Yeah. So let's get into that.
Even that. Everything that you have wrong or illness with your body is still a manifestation of your belief system. So if you believe, for example, if you have some kind of fear creates a certain type of hormonal patterns. They create a certain
cortisol action.
Exactly, of behavior, right? So when you're always afraid and high stress, what you try to soothe yourself, just another addiction mechanism that is going to try to give you that small part of dopamine. So that's why I go to the root mechanism, because if you change the subconscious belief, all of a sudden the decisions that you took throughout your life to get you where you are will be flipped around. And in order to make that process easier, what I do is I clean the body completely. Because usually a manifestation of toxic load in the body is only a manifestation of a toxic load in the subconscious in terms of belief system. So you have toxic or negative belief systems and emotions that will manifest in behaviors that will get in the body negative, so to speak, vibrations. So what I've managed to discover in the last couple of years is that there are a couple of systems in the body that always need cleaning. The most important one is the gut, because inside the gut you have, first
the
of all,
brain?
yeah, look at it first of all as a manifestation. You have 70-80% of your immune system in the gut. So something that's protecting your body from the outside could be compromised by alcohol, lifestyle, antibiotics. If you look at the stores around us, probably 90% of the food is processed or ultra processed with chemicals that literally destroy your gut the first time you ingest them. So the first thing that I do is basically have a protocol that cleans, strips out everything that is mechanical, so to speak. So toxins, heavy metals, bacteria from the gut, and then we repopulate that. And also do the gut lining, because you have so many things related to autoimmune disease, which is, again, if you don't love yourself enough, if you criticize yourself enough, what do you think your body's going to do? If you attack yourself in terms of emotion and how you think about yourself, what do you think your body is going to do? It's going to attack yourself as well. So
start.
see, autoimmune disease is just a manifestation of the belief system that you're not good enough and you're criticizing and attacking yourself, for example. People that deal with a lot of fear in general, they have a lot of kidney problems or stomach problems. Just imagine when you, for example, look at a scary movie. When is that?
You get that
gut thing,
yeah.
right? And then you have the cortisol and inflammation and all of that. So we clean the gut, first of all. We repopulate it because that's where we have precursors of dopamine, serotonin, and endorphin. If your gut is destroyed,
everything else is...
You cannot be happy or motivated because you don't have the hormonal capacity to feel the emotions. Then the second part that we address is the heavy metals, because everything that you eat almost has heavy metals, lead. I mean, they use
water.
They use lead compounds in food as preservatives. And then you have tuna with mercury, and then you have the pollution air, and then you have, I don't know, paints around the house which are full of heavy metals. And everywhere, anything that you eat, breathe, even see or touch the air is polluted with that. And they could have a 20 to 30 years stay in the body, and they're really bad. And then the third thing that we clean are the parasites,
which we also get from...
Don't matter how, I mean...
Sushi.
And maybe a little bit of raw food, wherever that is. It could be your vegetables, you're not washing them enough. It could be undercooked meats, or it could be, like you said, raw fish or even raw meat, carpaccio, the Italian cuisine. At a point in life, you're going to get that. And the thing is that they thrive on whatever is good that you eat. So if you have heavy metals, your cells are full with toxic load. You won't be able to get the good nutrients in, even if you eat them. And then the second there, if you have parasites, they're going to get most of it anyway. So nothing goes to the toxic load anyway. And then if you have a bad digestion and no good bacteria in your stomach, then no matter what you do, you're going to be messed up in terms of nutrients and everything like that. Well, so we clean the body and the mind, because it's easier. Imagine you're a driver, so that's your soul, your mentality, and you have a Ferrari. If it's diesel instead of petrol, if the brakes don't work, you
got to treat it right.
It's like
have the good parts.
You have to make the machine optimized, and then the driver to be able to drive it to get to where you want.
Love it. The avatar and the soul.
Exactly.
Working in tandem.
Exactly.
All right, nice.
Exactly.
Well, listen, I mean, we're coming to the end of the show, and it's fascinating. I mean, we can do another, a couple hours on this. We have to do like a series here. But I want to thank you for the opportunity to share your expertise and insights with us and our audiences. But also, so how can people work with you? I mean, how can they reach out to you, and how does your program work?
Well, I'm very present on social media. That's where you can contact with me. It's Biro Health. That's BIRO Health. That's the main way of getting in touch with me. Of course, there you'll have links to my website and to my phone number. In terms of the program, it's extremely powerful, but I made it extremely simple. And just as a PS for everybody, the first step is to recognize that you have a belief system that is against you. So analyze what's happening in your life. Simple as that. I have these relationships. I have this abundance or not. I have this, and this. What am I meant to learn from this? If there's no abundance, I'm meant to learn how to be abundant. If people betray me, I have to learn how to love myself, first of all, because everything is just a reflection from the inside. And then the fastest way to change that is through hypnosis/guided meditation. Because if you work with the conscious mind, like I said, it's only 5% on average. So it's like having 5 soldiers battle against 95 soldiers. you're destined to lose all the time.
Spartans.
Exactly. So go to the subconscious through this method of being in theta, but you have to also find somebody that knows what they do. And then if you change that, I promise you that things will be the opposite without even thinking about it. It's like you're swimming against the river, against the tide, because that's what you're taught that, yeah, right? And then somebody comes and says, just, yo, turn around a little bit. And you turn around and you don't have to swim, and all of a sudden you just go without effort. So that's how you change the mind. In terms of the physical health, the most important thing is to clean the body. And you have to be careful because there's so many marketing schemes right now. Like I see supplements and I see things that they say something. They would do, let's say, heavy metal detox, and they literally have no chelators. It's just marketing. So clean the mind, clean the body, and then you're going to be completely healthy and happy.
All right. Well, so Marius, I thank you so much for like really a powerful hour here. Thank you so much, and for the insights, for everything. And folks, this is the end of the show. I hope you've had a great time with us. And I'm Hurricane H. We'll be talking soon. New day, new show, topic, new guest.